Even before his historic semifinalist run on the world's largest talent competition, NBC America's Got Talent, he was already one of the most prolifically funny comedians in the country. A familiar face on the late-night talk show circuit, countless broadcast and cable comedy programs, his own original comedy specials. I am thrilled to welcome to my show Tom Cotter.
And it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
So you really do have an amazing voice.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing. All right, so I had your lovely wife, Carrie Louise, on my show.
My lovely and talented wife, Carrie Louise. Yes, you're right.
Yes, and I think we could have done like 100 shows together.
Yeah. Well, she's never at a loss for words. I will say that about her.
No, and it seemed like we kind of knew each other. It was like weird. It was like, I feel like we met before. I've known you for a long time.
Perhaps in a previous life. We don't know.
It might have been. How are the boys?
The boys are well. Thank you for asking. All happy and healthy, and that's all we care about.
Okay. So take us back. How did you and Carrie first meet?
We were performing at comedy clubs in Boston. We both started in Boston, and I ran into her a few times and always gravitated towards her. I found her very attractive. And then she was liked by one of my roommates, so I knew that she was forbidden fruit, and I couldn't go near her. But then she and I got booked at a gig up in New Hampshire and at a ski resort, and we, whatever, hormones kicked in, and we found each other kind of attractive. And she had promised herself that she wouldn't date another comedian, and I had promised myself I wouldn't date another comedy club either a waitress or a manager or a comedian or anybody in the field, and we threw all that out the window. And I called my friend, who was my roommate, and I said, dude, I need to know if I have the green light. And he said, yeah, she's never going to go with me. So he gave me the okay, and here we are now, years together.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what a good guy you are that you even asked your friend.
Well, it's a guy code thing, and plus I was living with him. He could have stabbed me at night or something.
Okay, so that makes a difference. You were living with him. It wasn't like he was just a guy you knew.
Yeah.
Okay, so you grew up in the Boston. What's funny is I know you grew up in the Boston comic scene. We just got back from Boston. Great, great city.
Love the city. Love the people. I know that hurts a lot of the Yankee fans that are listening and everything, but that's where I came from. So I'm still a Bruins, Red Sox, Celtics, and Patriots fan, yet I'm living in New York for 20 years, so I feel like a Palestinian living in an Israeli village. It's just the way it is. I
said to my son, really? You're a Yankees fan, a diehard Yankees fan, and you want to go see BU. But we went, and you know what? What everyone says about it, it's really an unbelievable place.
It's a college town. They say it's all bars, hospitals, and colleges. That's all Boston is, and there's a million schools up there. If you're looking at BU, you're in a good place because that's a great school, very hard to get into. And I would say 50% of the student body are probably Yankee fans at Boston University.
Okay, I'm just going to give a big shout out because we did go to Dick's. So
that's fun.
Anyone that's in Boston knows that you kind of have to go there, right?
Dick's Last Resort, right?
Yes.
Yeah, great place.
And it is the last resort.
It is. Yeah, you never leave there sober, I will say that.
Well, we had kids with us, but anyway, that was amazing. So if you're in Boston, you have to go to that. It was pretty amazing, but what a great place.
We have a great rivalry between these two cities, but I think there's also a huge amount of respect and admiration for each other. I remember being down here after 9/11 and all the Boston, firemen and cops and everybody that came down here, and the same is true when we had the marathon tragedy up in Boston. New York was, right there and had our back right after that. So I think it's a healthy rivalry, but I think there's mutual respect between the two cities.
Oh yeah, I haven't been there in a long time, so I was happy to go back. And everywhere you see Boston strong, and everyone was super nice and wonderful. So anyway, okay, about that. So yeah, if you go to Boston, you have to go visit Dick's, and it's a great place to be. What was it like? What was your favorite experience there?
Well, just coming out of that comedy scene was an amazing event. You have to be in New York or L.A., so obviously I eventually ended up down here in New York. But back when I started, before me in Boston was Jay Leno, Stephen Wright, Dennis Leary, on and on, so many people. And then afterwards, my class had Mark Maron, it had Louis C.K., and then shortly thereafter, Billy Burr came out, Dane Cook, So a lot of huge names came out in the comedy world came out of Boston. It was just a great proving ground. There were so many comedy clubs and so much stage time, and I met the love of my life up there too. So that's probably the greatest memory I have is Carrie and I getting together up there.
Aww. Okay, so the youngest of 6 in your family.
Yes.
And when did you realize that, like, oh, I could maybe do this for a living, or oh, I like comedy, or oh, maybe I'm going to venture into this? And how did that all come about?
I still don't know if I can do it for a living, but I'm kidding. No, I'm the youngest of 6. When you're the youngest of 6 in an Irish Catholic family, you need to stand out some way because you're an afterthought. And I clearly was a mistake. And so I did whatever I could to get attention. So I was just a ham, the class clown, all those things.
True story.
And then,
is that true story?
True story. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
About me being a mistake?
No, about it.
Oh, yeah. I really am the youngest of 6, and because my parents were Catholic and they had the rhythm method, so, that's why we're very prolific breeders. And so, I just got out of college, and I said to my dad, I'm going to go to law school one day, and I'll take the LSATs. Just give me a little time to get this comedy thing out of my system. And some kids go to Europe and backpack for a year. Some kids intern somewhere. I said I wanted to try stand-up, and I never got it out of my system. And here we are. I've been at it almost 30 years, and it's been very good to me and my family, and it's a great way to make a living.
Amazing. So that was it. So when did you know that, like, I have this, like, I got this, like, I could do this?
I won a few comedy competitions, and those were not easy to win because I was up against some pretty funny people. So I think then I knew that I had some legs in this business. I just didn't know how much. And then when I did the Tonight Show, in 2001, same year I got married, and I will tell everybody that my marriage was the second most important thing that happened that year, because it's the Tonight Show, So those things kind of add up and made me feel like, well, I got to move to New York. I got to give this thing a serious shot, and it's been very good to us so far. And America's Got Talent took it to a whole new level, and that's where we are now. Yeah.
So season 7, America's Got Talent, second place, groundbreaking, as you're the first comedian ever to reach the finals. So did people still ask you all the time and tease you, so you lost to a dog?
Wendy, I was the top human finisher that year. Right. I like to tell people.
That's right.
Yes, I make fun of myself. I mean, it's hysterical. I came in second to a dog act, and honest to God, I never thought I'd make it out of the quarterfinals because a comic had never made it that far. And I credit the judges. I had Howard Stern, Howie Mandel, and Sharon Osbourne as my judges.
Easy, right?
Those 3 are the best judges panel. Now you've got Heidi Klum, who, God bless her. I don't know if it's the German thing or the blonde thing or whatever, but she just doesn't get comedy. I'm sorry. I'll tell it to her face. I've met her a few times, but she just, for whatever reason, doesn't like the comedians. And I don't think Mel B and Simon, because they're British, they just don't get American humor the way that Howard, Howie, and Sharon did. And I know Sharon's British, but she's very Americanized. And so really, Howie Mandel is the only ally a comic has on that judges panel now. And so I feel bad for the guys who are on it now, but I was very lucky to get on that season, and I never thought I'd make it out of the quarterfinals. So everything above that was gravy, and the fact that I was standing there at the end and it was between the dog act and me was surreal. It really, I had no idea. I just kept thinking to myself, if you win, don't look like an idiot, and if you lose with some grace. And of course they go to commercial 10 times, so you're standing there forever.
Right?
Yeah, but it was an amazing thing, and just having that many eyeballs on you, Wendy, is unbelievable, because we all do Leno and Letterman and those things, and Fallon and Colbert and all those shows. That's what we do, and I've done so many of those, but those are a fraction of the audience you get when you do primetime network television, and that show it's unfair. It's up against reruns, so the ratings are gigantic, and I just got very lucky.
Oh my God! And to be in front of those people, I mean, Howie Mandel, I've had him on before. He's amazing.
He's great, on camera and off camera, and Howard couldn't have been nicer to me.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, his radio persona is his radio persona, but I will tell you that he is, he's a very down-to-earth, very nice guy, and he was really, really nice to me, although I'm very short and he's freakishly tall, so when I stood next to him, I really felt very awkward, but he's great.
I had him on when I worked for Phil Donahue, and he had just written his book, and he was on, we had NBC, the audience was like wrapped around the place, and boy, is he tall, and boy, is he humble.
Oh, yeah, he is. He absolutely is. But he's like 6'5" before the afro, and then the afro puts him up at around 7 feet. Plus, he's really skinny, which makes the appearance look even taller. And I make cookies in a hollow tree. So I just had no business being next to him. We were on the red carpet, and I was like, really? Do I have to stand here that much longer? Every flashbulb was humiliating. But anyway, he's a nice guy.
But very nice guy. And like you said, when you're sitting there waiting for them to give you, like, who's the winner, us watching at home, we think we're dying when they go to commercial break. You guys must be out of your minds.
Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then when they go to commercial, the live audience is still there, and they're all jacked up. They've been watching the whole season, so they're very engaged, and they're just screaming things at you. It's like positive heckling, and you don't know what to do. You can't really yell back, and it's very weird. And I was blown away. That whole season, I was so nerve-wracked that I lost 15 pounds. I had acne. I'm a middle-aged guy. I had acne.
No.
So yeah, it was that stressful, because our lowest audience I think was 20 million people, and then we had it aired, and then they'd have a rerun, and then I think it's playing in some foreign country now. So it's just crazy and people are rabid about that show. They love that show.
They really do. So it's totally different than when you're performing at like Caroline's or the Improv or something. That's totally a different thing.
Well, it's still stressful, but not to that level. We already knew going into it that we were going to be, it was the highest rated season, and I credit Howard Stern with that because he brought all his fans along. And then we were on the same summer as the Olympics, and the Summer Olympics, they did a lot of cross-promotion, so their audience was just crazy huge. And I couldn't walk down the street in Rockland County where I live. I couldn't walk down the street without people being so tuned in. Again, because there's nothing else on TV. It's all reruns during the summer.
Right.
So it was just really a gift from God to us, because I had been flying below the radar for a while. I'm making a living doing comedy, but no one knew who I was. So it was just such a blessing for Carrie and I and the boys, because we have 3 college tuitions on the horizon, for that to happen when it did.
Yes. So how do you prepare for something like that? It must be, like, how did you decide what you were going to do?
I've been at it for almost 30 years, so it would be pathetic if I didn't have some semblance of what to do. They only give you 90 seconds, so you really have to cram a lot of punchlines into a short amount of time. So every season, up until season 7, everybody told me to do the show, because my style of comedy is a lot of rapid-fire, one-liner kind of things. It's Gatling gun kind of. Whereas a lot of comics are storytellers. They take a long, pregnant pause. I can't do that. I'm ADD. So I'm into the next joke before you get the last one. And so everyone said, managers, comedy club owners, bookers, agents, everybody was like, why are you not doing the show? And I wouldn't do the show because Pierce Morgan was in the seat that Howard Stern eventually sat in, and he hated American comics, and he would eviscerate them on the air. And I said, I'm not going to go on a show and have this guy set my career back. I'd rather go on a show that's going to advance my career. And so when Howard got in that seat, I got a call from the Friars Club, and they said, they're looking for comedians. Will you go down and audition? And I said, all right, I'll go. And the rest is history. So it was a nice run right up until I lost to a dog act in front of 40 million viewers.
But it was a groundbreaking for you. I mean, the first comedian ever to reach the final. So that was a pretty big deal, I'd say.
It was, and you're being very kind, but let's not lose sight of the fact that I lost to non-humans on that show.
If you just tuned in, I'm talking to Tom Cotter.
I was in Tampa last weekend at Side Splitters. I'm all over the country doing this, and I really love doing Levity Live because it's a well-run club, because I love the Palisades Mall, and because I can walk next door and get Chipotle, which is nice, but also because I get to sleep in my own bed. Literally, it's an 8-minute commute for me. So there's no plane, there's no hotel. It's just great.
It's great, and you can go to Target. You can get anything you want.
Yeah.
You can see Tom Cotter, and then you can leave and go to Target. Or you can, it is, I always enjoy the shows there. It's such a nice atmosphere, and it's always a great time.
They definitely know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a long time, and they're affiliated with Gotham Comedy Club in Manhattan, which is arguably one of the best clubs in the country. So they really know what they're doing, and they've got it down. They're black belts at what they do.
So where do you come up with all your material? I mean, I know you've done it for a long time, but is it everyday life? Is it a lot of family? Is it your kids, your wife, everything?
It's all of the above. They say you write what you know, and right now I know that I'm a father of 3 boys, so they are my muse.
That's got to give you enough material.
Yeah, and plus I'm married to a comedian, so